Coming up, we're going back into the inbox and some old topics resurface.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Hi guys, welcome to another Double Tap. I'm Stephen Scott, he's Shaun Preece. Are you still Shaun Preece or are you Johnny Breeze? I think you should change your name.
You know what? I wish I could. If it meant me taking no effort whatsoever to do, Johnny Breeze is much cooler than Shaun Preece, obviously. I like it. AI again
like it. Yeah.
gives the right answer. Johnny Breeze. Change your name, Shaun.
Shaun Preece or Johnny Breeze. That's all the options it gives. And it always gets your name and my name wrong. Whenever I put things through ChatGPT, it will always get my name wrong and it always gets your name wrong. I find it hilarious. You're always Scene and I'm always Step Hen.
Step Hen, yeah. Well, you know, I've been through my entire life spelling both my names, first name and second name, so it's fine. I don't mind. As long as you call me, I'm happy.
That's right. Just what was that phrase? Don't call me late for dinner or something like that. That's not the phrase, but anyway.
Ooh, dinner.
So, what's that line? Don't call me late for dinner. Don't call. I can't remember.
Anyway, I have no idea.
Coming up, I was mentioning to you that I'd be reviewing the Blind Shell Classic 3. Now, one of the things I wanted to do was not just talk about the Blind Shell Classic 3 on its own, but compare it to some other devices out there. Unfortunately, I cannot get my Capsys Smart Vision back at the moment. I loaned it out to someone. They're having a great time with it.
Shame.
But the challenge is getting it back. So
Are you shaming them?
I'm not shaming them because it's partly down to just me getting to them to get it back, which is part of the problem. So we're working on that and we'll get the review out. I'm hoping to get it out for you next week. I really want to get this done because it's a really interesting little device. But I think the comparison is important. I would have just done a focus on the review on this particular device, but I feel for that to happen, you'd have to almost compare it to the previous edition, and I never got hands-on with the Blind Shell Classic 2. So I feel like I'm starting fresh with this. And I think it's good to also talk about the other types of handsets out there that are similar to it and how they compare to that, because I don't think you can compare this to an iPhone or an Android phone. I know at the heart of this is Android, as is the Capsys, but it is a different layout. It is a different way of working with it. It's all button-based. You're not using a touchscreen, although both the Capsys and the Blind Shell Classic 3 have got touchscreens on them, but they're disabled by default.
Yes.
So, you're not really considering this a touchscreen phone, although
they're directly comparable. I mean,
Yeah,
of course you'd want to compare the two. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to do it properly. I don't want to just rush into here's my thoughts, but I also am keen to hear your thoughts as well. If you've already got one and you'd like to join the conversation as we've done before, I think it's a really good way to hear other people's views, not just mine on this. So if you've got a view on it you would like to share, then please do get in touch, feedback in all the usual ways. And on that point, thank you for all your feedback as well. So many of you getting in touch and for responding mostly so positively to my suggestion of maybe cut them down a little bit, just a little bit less.
Just a little bit, yeah.
On the emails, we want to make sure people get their say.
Yes,
right? We want everybody to have their say. And I made it very clear at the start with this program. I really wanted everybody's voice to be heard. So if you send in an email, instead of us responding back and forward in an inbox away from everyone else, we actually do it here publicly, unless, of course, you don't want that. And some people have said that in the past, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But mostly people, are getting their emails in and sending in voicemails, and we're responding to them on air. And I love that. But sometimes if the messages are long, that can be a challenge. We don't mind editing, but I kind of feel then, does that take away from your message? And I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to decide what to cut out of your message to us or to other double tappers out there. So, yeah, and I've got to say the response on WhatsApp, a few people been sending in messages and, actually referencing that point. I'm going to keep it short and really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It just lets everyone have the say. That's what it's all about. So, yes, great. And as always, thank you for your time that you spend actually crafting those responses and sending them in. They mean a lot. I've got to say, I'm not going to go into, I promise you, I'm not going to start this rant again because I'm getting a bit sick of it myself, to be honest.
Oh, no.
But we did get an email from Greg, which will come up through the fullness of time as Laura records the messages for us with her amazing voice.
Yes.
But,
Which Greg, one of the many Gregs.
Well, Greg in Pennsylvania. I suppose.
Of course.
I suppose the way I kind of referenced that, you should probably have known. But yeah, Greg in Pennsylvania got in touch, and let's just say, I still don't think he's quite getting what I'm saying about Braille. I think there's still a bit of confusion around my viewpoints around Braille. I don't think I can make it any clearer. He said, you spent 40 minutes the other day basically saying you didn't say what you said you did say on November the 4th. I don't really know what to say to that, other than that's right. I did do that because I didn't say it. I mean, look, if you want to say, if you just want to isolate 3 words in a conversation and say, he said this, which I won't deny saying Braille is dying. If you take those 3 words and just take those 3 words and say, well, that's it, he said it, then yes, I did say it. But the context kind of matters in that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I say a lot of things. If you isolate them into context, if you don't take the context out of it, you kind of miss the point, right? You kind of miss the point entirely. And I think the point has been missed. I honestly, I'm defending Braille more than I've ever defended it.
Yes.
And I think I often think about friendship. People say a good friend is an honest friend. Someone who says to you, look, you know what, you got to rethink this, or, you got to think about this. I can tell you that Braille is wonderful, and I can say it's the best thing ever, and here's how I use Braille, and I love it. And that's great. And that's brilliant. But that's only part of the story. If we don't have an honest conversation about where we're going with Braille, it is not going to be here. And I don't understand why this is confusing to people. And that's because I'm not doing it down.
Yeah, but hang on, we're in danger of going back to the conversation we had the other day. And I think, as I mentioned at the time, I think you need a round table. We need people, a real-time conversation on this, because there's a lot of, I'm not even going to say misunderstanding, but people hear what they want to hear on both sides and run with that. And I think, we need a conversation on this, because the argument also could be, even just by saying, oh, well, because of this, whatever the context, Braille is dying, that may be giving the impression to people, don't even bother learning Braille. That's
if you're taking that away from it, you really aren't listening to what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying, though. There's the context is very important.
I'm saying the exact opposite to that. I'm saying the whole point of Braille not dying is that people need to learn it. We have to discuss that. We have to bring, and look, the people who are coming back to me with this are generally in agreement with that, right? They're all saying the same thing.
Yes,
I think it was. I forget the lady's name.
But why are people afraid to talk about it? I mean, some of the messages that we get, people don't want to put it out on air.
Yeah, I think there's a danger in our community sometimes where, oftentimes the information we've had in the past, I think back to the early days of any information or anything related to blindness always came from especially in the UK. I can only speak here because that's where I live.
Yeah.
But, the context was always charity, or it was medical, or it was from a place where, whoever was giving you the information was generally wearing a suit. And the information.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, nothing wrong with a suit, no. But it was always given in that medical or charitable way. It was information based. The information we always got was like that, and we still find that today. There's a number of shows and podcasts that are out there, and they're still very much in that vein, and that's good. I mean, absolutely good. But I think when we came along and we started doing this, it kind of threw people a little bit, because they were so used to hearing, almost like they were being told what to think. This is how it should be. This is how the blind community think. This is our line on this. And look, I'm seeing this across the board now. This is becoming a major problem. This is not just a blindness issue. This is an issue with society in general, where, there's a side, and if you're not on our side, then we're not interested in you, and you're cast aside. And I don't go for a lot of the viewpoints that are put out there about the blind community. I push back against this idea of the social model of disability being the only problem with us as blind people. Essentially everyone else is to blame.
We're disabled by
society rather than our condition, which I absolutely believe is partly true. You can't deny that fact, but it's not the only part of the story. But there are people who will tell you that it is, and they will tell you that an opposite view to that is offensive. They will tell you that you can't use certain words or phrases because that is offensive. Who decides this stuff?
Yeah, no, all of this.
This is ultimately what it all leads to, right? So people are so used to being told what to think in our community, and they're given the information from so-called on high, who decide, it's like 5 people in a room. I remember this as a kid. I remember people talking about the blind mafia and how the blind mafia, 5 people in a room decide everything. And it was like, I kind of start to think, I can see where people get that idea from, because there is a little bit of that in the community. And as soon as you poke your head above and say, I don't necessarily agree with that, suddenly, you're cast aside, or you're pushed to the side, or actually worse, you're told, don't say that. Be quiet.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, you're not going to get that from me. But the only way to get me to be quiet is say, Lady A, stop, or hit pause on your podcast player. Yes. Otherwise, tough.
Magic
I'm going to
tap.
keep saying it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just, even bringing up something like that, even that gets dangerous to me, because I don't want to be part of that whole, as you mentioned, it's all over the place at the minute. We're being told what to do, we're being this and that. I'm just sick of that
Language
conversation.
guides, Shaun. Language guides.
Yes, I totally get it, but you know what?
Sorry, but hang on. How many people? I'm trying to. Maybe there is, right? Someone can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm always learning. This is why I'm not a person who believes in the one true opinion. Even to myself, I will change my mind on things. Actually, referencing Greg's message as it will be read out in fullness. He talked about the fact that, over a decade ago, Stephen wasn't for Braille. I said that on the show the other day. And I wasn't for it. For me personally, I didn't see the value in it. I was more for audio-based technology. I wasn't for specialist tech. I was not against it, but I was kind of pushing people towards mainstream. That was kind of how the whole thing started for me. That's how I started doing this show, because I felt there must be an alternative option out there to all this really expensive gear.
A more affordable option, which is also accessible.
No, my experience has changed over the years, so therefore my views have changed. That seems to surprise people. But if it surprises you, that tells me that you've never changed your mind on anything ever, which is great for you. That's not really how people evolve and work. You can't live, I don't think you can live constantly thinking the same thing all the time. I mean, somewhere along the way you've got something wrong.
No, absolutely, of course not. It's just it's the human experience, right? I just think if you listen solely to social media or whatever podcast is in your own little bubble, you reinforce these feelings that everyone's telling you what to do. That these language guides, although they do exist, of course they do, for the vast majority of us, we don't care. In our community, that's where I'm going to stick with so far. For blind people, visually impaired people, none of us really care. We're just busy getting on with things. And yes, we may disagree with certain opinions, but for the most part, we just get on with it. I'm
all for agreement, or for disagreement, I should say. I'm all for disagreement because I think that it's important. I think we need to have what it feels to me is there's a significant lack of thought in today's society. There's a viewpoint, and we'll just go with it. And that's kind of the way it seems to be nowadays. And I find that's a shame. That's a real shame, because I think we need to have debate and discussion on all these topics. I feel that the one thing that's missing at the moment from the conversation around disability is accountability for people's words. I put up a thing the other day because it was International Persons of Day with Disability, or whatever the thing is. And so I can never get that right. And it's our day, Shaun. Hurrah!
Yes.
And
had a lovely day. Thank you very much.
I had a wonderful day too. I forgot all about it. But I did put up on social media only one post, which was, look, when you hear from a disabled person, you're hearing from one disabled person. Just the view of one.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all different, and that's good. And that's what I wrote. And, I got a lot of nice comments on that, or at least just likes on it. Very few comments, actually, now I think about it, which says a lot. And, I think it's because people push back against that. Look, some people are making a living out of telling other people what to think. And that makes me a little bit nervous, because I see people going on who are disabled onto TV programs and radio shows and podcasts and all the rest. And they sit there singularly and give their view, but they present it as fact. They present it as, well, the community are behind us, or, the majority of people. I'm sorry, I was never polled on this. I was never given a voice on this. I was never voted on this. So I'm sorry, I don't go with that idea that the majority believe anything, because I don't know if that's true.
Is it the NFB, ACB,
Exactly. Well, that's
RNIB,
right.
CNIB?
And even if they did, you're still only getting a very small number of people
Exactly.
per
That's
organisation, right? So
Yeah.
how can you say a majority believe anything? You don't know that. So I don't think that's fair, and that's why I push back against this. And I feel that the one thing that's missing at the minute is a little bit of accountability. What ideally would happen, like any kind of balanced discussion, is that you don't just have one voice, you have multiple voices on a panel who are disabled talking. Because otherwise you end up with ridiculous things being flung out there. And I have to say, this whole language thing is just, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting to the point where people are going to be terrified to speak to us as disabled people and not going to want to speak to us.
Even
because
more than they are now. Yeah.
Well, even if they do, okay, now they'll make a mistake and they'll go, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't. I get this now. I get it now. I hear people saying, oh, I can't call you blind, can I? Because I shouldn't say blind. That's the wrong word. Is disabled a bad word?
Yeah.
Now, I know there's people out there saying, well, you can say disabled. It isn't a bad word. But people don't feel comfortable saying that. They don't know what to say. And, if you just mix it all up, and I'm sorry, what other group requires this level of control over what we are said to them? I think it makes us look weak. I think it makes us look weak as a community. We're not weak people. I'm not weak. You're not weak. In fact, I think in some ways we're a stronger community than most because of all the crap we've got to put up with. We do well. We're strong people.
Yep.
I don't need a language guide to be spoken to. So, sorry, I'm not with that.
I don't agree with most language guides anyway. I think language just evolves over generation to generation anyway. So it's
I don't want to
fine.
sit down for a conversation with someone and say, now, before we talk here, this is the book of things you can say and things you can't say. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Is that the way to solve society's problems? Because I tell you something, if you think you're breaking down barriers, I'm telling you, you're building new ones behind it.
Yeah. They'll be afraid to talk to us. That's one point. That's fine. Hey, language guides are fine if you're talking about a business environment, a meeting environment, whatever.
Oh, even then, come on, just grow up.
No,
just have a conversation with people.
No,
Stop being.
You could take
we're
that
all
to...
little snivelling snowflakes. Just get over it. Stop crying over words. For goodness sake.
Stephen Scott there. That's feedback at doubletaponair.com.
Oh, it just drives me mad, all this nonsense. Am I getting old? Is that what it is?
Yes, you are. Yes. Well
Excellent.
done.
Okay. I always want to be old and grumpy. I think I've reached it.
Wow.
Okay, let's get to some emails. We're going to kick things off with David's comments on Lady A. A few emails in about this today.
Hello. Great show. Just a little something to add to your Wednesday spot. I use Echo Dots, Echo Shows, and every kind of Echo, just like Shaun, and have several in every room, but I also have what's called a battery base for my Echo Dog, 3 third generation, and a battery base for my Echo Show 8. I'm pretty sure you can get a battery base for all the Echo Dots. And as for using them out and about, connect them to your hotspot on your phone with a battery base on board, and you can walk anywhere using them all the time. Thanks, David.
Now, that was in response to our conversation with David Ward, of course, and I was mentioning that, I'd love to be able to take it around with me and ideally take it out of the house.
Yes.
You've given some suggestions about how to connect it to a hotspot. I don't think you had much success with that, though, did you?
I did not, no. But I haven't tried it in a while, but I could never get it to connect to my phone as a hotspot in the past. We have had another tip in on that, but I'll wait until I get to the WhatsApp audio put in the queue and we'll listen to that again. But did Laura say Echo Dog?
Yeah, I think that may have been a slight typo. And she wasn't sure if that was a typo or not. So, yes, the Echo Dot, I think, is what David referred to there.
I was thinking, I missed that. I want an Echo Dog.
I want an Echo Dog.
Yes, that's one thing I haven't got yet is the
Echo Dog.
We talked about them years ago, not the Echo Dog, the battery pack, the little seat or caddy, I don't know what you call it, that you place a dot into. Of course, these were about before the the latest gen of the sphere dots, when it was the tuna tins or the hockey pucks. And they just sat in there and made it completely portable. And they lasted a while too. They were a really good idea.
Yeah, I don't understand why Amazon haven't kind of taken this up a gear with this. I really don't know what they're playing. Maybe it's
they
like
did
the
have
Apple
the
approach.
tap, which was a portable one, wasn't it?
Was that portable?
I believe.
I don't think we had the tap here, did we?
No. Yeah. Well, right now.
Some of these are US only. That's the problem.
Yes,
a lot of this stuff that comes out, you only get it in the US, nowhere else. Okay, thank you for that, David. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea to have one of those around. And like you say, I think it may be a case of I've got enough Echoes lying around here. Just designate one as the travel Echo, and just take it with me wherever I go. That makes a lot of sense.
Ah, yes.
Because
Okay.
the other thing that I was quite like
Travel Echo.
a travel echo travel. So you mentioned, because I was thinking about it when you talked about this. I think we were off air at the time when you were talking to me about, because I was saying to you, can you drop in? So that, you drop in a bedroom or you drop in a living room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
All that stuff works, right? Because even though you're not on the net, you don't need to be on the network. You just have to be connected to the internet.
Yeah, all the other Echoes or the other devices are linked to your account. So even though I was away from home, once I set my Echo up at my parents' house and put it on their Wi-Fi, I was able to drop into, I just said drop in bedroom, and it dropped into my house.
Oh, that's so good.
Because it's all already set up. So it's just waiting for the internet connection. And yeah, I mean, it's just so nice just to be able to drop in, when you're away, just drop in on your family. Of course, they hate it. They'd rather you ring so they can decline the call. But you can just, hey, I'm here. What are you doing? But it is very nice.
You hear a man's voice.
Dropping is amazing, isn't it?
It is. I guess you missed that. Right, moving on.
I did. What?
I said you don't want to hear a man's voice when you answer the other end answers,
How dare
right?
you, sir?
Okay, Dean's been in touch from New Zealand.
Hi, Stephen and Laura. First of all,
What?
Stephen, you don't need 300 keyboards. They are all the same. Secondly, I'm an NVDA basher. I find it absolutely hopeless on any websites. NVDA loses its place from wherever you are in the website.
What?
I'm a JAWS man all day, any day, and every day. Next thing. Just wondering if any of the Double Tap universe are experiencing this Alexa problem with Spotify. She won't play at all when you ask her, whether it be an album or individual song. I'm thinking she must have somehow gotten disabled in the Alexa app, but this isn't the case. I wasn't going to disable it like I did one other time, and I had to enlist my tech guru to sort her out. Yes, I'm not as smart as all the Double Tap universe. So, at the moment, by fiddling in the Spotify app, I can only get Alexa to work by going into where Spotify says connect to a device. Then a list comes up of all your devices. I always select everywhere just because it's easier. Then go out of there and find play at the bottom of the screen in the Spotify app. Then Alexa will play. You have to do this process every time you stop Alexa. This whole thing has probably been happening for 3 weeks now. Any suggestions on this most serious matter will be most appreciated. Thanks. Keep up the great work. Dean in New Zealand.
Thank you, Dean. You missed Sean again, but just,
That's fine. I was waiting for a PS. A long nose somebody. But that was absolutely fine. I do not use Spotify, so I can't help on this at all. Have you heard anything, Stephen?
Not anything about this one. No, I have not heard about it. The only thing I hear about on social media is that apparently there's Unwrapped. I don't know what that is, but Spotify Unwrapped is getting a bit of talk on social media at the minute. I think it's to do with, from my understanding, it's to do with like a wrap up of songs you listen to over the year. And I think what they're doing is they're issuing out these playlist images telling you what you've played. And of course, the alt text brigade are jumping up and down saying, add alt text. So, yeah, I mean,
Well,
are
they're
these
right,
people
aren't
using
they?
OCR?
Why are you saying it in that tone? Well,
Why can't we use OCR or seeing AI or being
accessible
my
format
eyes?
in the first place?
Well, that would be nice. But
Yes.
in lieu of that, there's another way to get the information, right?
Well, are they actually jumping up and down and screaming and shouting?
Yes.
Or are they simply pointing out to this big, massive company that they should release their images in an accessible format?
I agree.
Thank you.
100% with you.
All right,
But
very
in
good.
lieu of that, at the moment, look, do we all just stand still while we wait for the world to catch
we
up? Is
don't.
that what we do?
We get on with it.
Imagine
we use,
what state we'd be in as blind
use
people
the
if we just
workarounds,
hung
and we
around.
also let them know that they're doing the thing wrong. Yes, okay. We're going to have to throw this out to our beautiful listeners because honestly, I don't use Spotify. I haven't heard anything about this. The steps that I would take, you've already taken, Dean. I would have uninstalled the Echo skill firstly, or double-check unlink and relink your account to Spotify. But it sounds like you've done all that anyway. So, yeah, we'll throw this out and see if anyone else is having problems.
Okay. There was another thing in there, wasn't there? There was another.
Saying you were terrible, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. Okay, let's move on to another voicemail.
Hi, this is Hetty Siegel again. I got a big mouth and I have a long day and I've been very busy.
Okay.
And I've been listening to your episode about Alexa. Now, I love my Alexas. I was even thinking of getting another one. I've got 2 right now. I have a small apartment I have two, and my husband lives in another place, and downstairs, and he has two as well. The thing that bugs me about Alexa, I agree with Shaun, I believe it was, who said, I haven't gotten your voices memorized yet, but I think it was Shaun. I'm not totally sure, though. Who said that it would be nice if we could have it as just an audio device. That has bugged me. It bugged me about Siri. Oh, I found this on the web. Take a look. And I have VoiceOver, but I don't want to bother with the silly old web when I'm asking them 2 plus 2. I mean, now, having said that, I'm hyperbolizing. They do say what 2 plus 2 is, but sometimes you ask them a really simple question, and they want you to go on the web and look. I love your show. Keep up the excellent work. And thank you very much. Have a great day. Have a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you. And to you.
Covered everything. Yeah, same back. Okay, so I believe actually, Stephen, it was you that mentioned, well, I think everyone we've spoken to have said this as well. When we're talking about echoes or smart speakers with a screen, we wish there was an option where you can just say, you know what, you're an audio device. Don't just forget the screen's there. Something under accessibility or something.
Yeah, it's why I must admit I agree with you, not just on the Lady A, which is annoying with the screen, but yeah, the phone is quite annoying as well. And I still don't think Siri's that great. What's going on with that? I mean, supposedly Apple Intelligence, it's not very intelligent, let's be honest about it.
You know what? I'm so tempted to absolutely agree with you because it is pretty much the same. It just sounds slightly different. But at the same time, still rolling out. So I'm still withholding judgment. I'm not going to be too harsh yet because it is still rolling out. We haven't seen the full force of Apple Intelligence. So far, it's a bit underwhelming.
Siri Plus.
Yes.
Pay more money. Get a smarter Lady S or Mr. S.
Yes. But going back to the Echo, as far as we know, there's no workaround for that, is there? There's no way to force it into, just forget sending me links or sending me this or that. Unless you just get the audio, a dot or just the normal Echo, anything without a screen.
Yeah. Thank you for the email, or message, I should say. And let's move on to Emmy.
Hello, everyone. Emmy from Finland here. It's nice that you have this WhatsApp available now. It's easy to send messages. Very interesting conversation about Echo. I used to have an Echo Dot 3rd generation, but it got broken and I liked it a lot. I had a friend from the United States who kindly sent me one. Unfortunately, I can't buy Echoes from Amazon. They won't deliver them here.
What?
So I can't buy a new one. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Mobile games. I would be interested in telling about my games that I like to play. So that would be, if anyone is interested, I am happy to tell more about them. That's everything that comes to mind. I enjoy Double Tap very much. Keep up the good work and bye for now.
Thank you, Emmy. Appreciate your words and glad you're still with us. Can't get Echoes in Finland. That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. There was a time you couldn't get them over here in the UK either.
Yeah, I know. You forget that, don't you? You think we talk about almost like the US, the Canada, the UK. They're the only countries that exist.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But you're right. I mean, there's so many places that may not get access to that, which is kind of ridiculous.
It is, yeah. And mobile games, again, as we said previously, yeah, if there's enough interest in people talking about accessible gaming, but if that's audio games or console games or smart speaker games, that's absolutely fine. We'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think on that front, I mean, it's funny because I was thinking about this year, looking at the end of the year as you do, and you think maybe we should look back at some of the big topics of the year.
Never look back.
Never look back. Well, it's a lot easier from a review point of view. But I think, I don't know, when I look at gaming, I tend to get a little bit stuck on this because I still hear a lot of people, and of course I hear, and I'm 100% behind anyone who advocates for, accessible games. and I'm talking here PlayStation, Xbox, those kind of things.
Dear.
I'm 100% behind it. But
Stephen.
I just don't know how many of us actually,
Stephen.
and maybe it's a blind thing. Maybe it's a blind thing versus a low vision thing. And I think that's okay. It may well be. There's a lot of people with low vision. Look, I know I tried to play my games when I was low vision. I don't know if I'd be able to play them now. In fact, I'm almost certain I couldn't.
Yeah.
So,
I used to play Left 4 Dead.
me, I'm kind of out of it,
Quarter speed in slow-mo.
Yes. Yeah.
You keep playing until you can't anymore. But hey, that's where all this push for accessibility may help people.
That's why it matters. That's why it matters.
We may be slightly out of the loop with that.
I think if they keep up the advocacy on this, and it seems the games or the gaming community, as in the companies that create the games, are really interested in this. They are actually engaging. They're not just.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's not forget. I mean, props to the companies. This is off the back of the work of people in our community that have made this.
Ian Hamilton,
that have pushed this point.
Steve Saylor,
of course.
All these amazing people, and there's loads of people. I'm not even naming half of them, but there are so many people in our community who are doing amazing things in this field, and I think for the people who use it and value it, I think absolutely brilliant. But I don't like the idea from my point of view of anybody. Again, I suppose it's a little bit of that. Maybe it's the same viewpoint people have around me with Braille, which is there's a sense of again an opinion being put out there where it's like oh well, now games are accessible, you can play them. And it's like, yeah, it is, but...
You see, this is why I said, oh no, Stephen, no, please don't. Well, kind of. In my head, maybe that was when you started this, because yes, it's very...
We do that every episode, right? We usually run about the 0.0 second mark.
Yes, let's leave that. Can we just say, yes, thank you, Emmy, and... send it.
Shaun, why are you nervous? Why are you nervous about discussing these issues?
I'm not, you know what? I'm not nervous, but we have covered this, I think, in the past. And
we've covered everything.
Well, that's true. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I hate to tell you, but we're going to have a bit of difficulty filling this show if we decide we've talked about everything we can't talk about anymore. It's going to become a bit of a problem.
I don't mind talking about things again. It's just when we go into another 10-minute Stephen Scott rant of thumping the desk.
People love a Stephen Scott rant. Are you kidding me?
That's true, they do, yeah.
Well, so they seem to anyway. Okay, yes, let's move on. Let's talk about something entirely different. Let's talk about the cost of accessible tech.
On Tuesday's show, you mentioned Braille and the cost being prohibitive. But is it really? Please read the following. These prices are all in Canadian dollars. From Apple Canada, iPhone 16 starts at $1,129. Meta Ray-Ban Wayfarer glasses from Best Buy in Canada, $410. Apple Watch Series 10 from Apple Canada starts at $549. AirPods 4 without noise cancellation, $179. 20-cell Brilliant Braille display, $2,599. So, if you purchase the above items, which many of us have and use, you have paid the same or close to the same as a 20-cell Braille display. So, is cost really the issue? If we really want something, we seem to be able to find a way to purchase it. Sometimes you may need to save a little bit longer in order to get what you want. From Ryan.
Okay, I'm going to let you pick up on that one first.
I don't really know what to say to it, to be honest. But I mean, the point is, for a lot of those, I mean, I hear the smartphone thrown in there a lot, saying, well, how much is a smartphone? Particularly if you're coming at it from the argument of cost to manufacture versus the cost of sale to the end user. I mean, there's lots of websites out there that do teardowns of the latest iPhone, for example, and cost it up and say, look, it's only costs $300 to build. And yet, the RRP is something ridiculous. I'm not going at it from that point, but I think the point is that most of us gain access through devices like this through some sort of plan, be it through your cell phone provider, and you pay that over the month at an add-on cost. Very few of us, I think, pay the whole cost up front. And I think that's something when it comes to specialized tech that definitely needs to be in there and needs to be more available, is the payment options.
I thought that was an interesting argument. I feel you, Ryan, had an idea in your head of what that argument was, and by the time we got to the end of it, I thought, you've kind of just made my point for me. Because you were kind of saying, well, compared to the cost of this Braille display, you would pay the same for XYZ, the phone, the watch, the AirPods, and all the rest. You will, yes, but that's not comparable. Because I see that as two separate things, right? I wouldn't say.
Well, it's more than two. I mean,
well, no, but I mean, you wouldn't classify all those devices next to a Braille display, right? They're not the same thing. You know, if you're saying to me, well, the cost of a Braille display is X and it equals the same as buying all of these Apple gadgets, so therefore, you know, what does it matter about the price? Look what you're getting for your money. If I only could buy one of those packages, I'd have a keyboard with a Braille display or a smartphone that I can do absolutely everything on with accessibility, a watch, earbuds, the lot. That seems to me a much better and more attractive option if you're looking at it from that perspective. And then if you think about it, now you're saying, well, if we want to have everything, we've got to add the Braille display. Suddenly that's doubled the total cost because you get all the Apple stuff and now you need to pay for the Braille display. So yeah, I do think the prices are high. And in comparison to all that, yes. I would also say, though, in fairness, again, it's not comparable to compare a product which is a mainstream product in that way to a specialist product like a Braille display. I don't think you can compare the two because, look, this is mass market. It's sold to, and of course, look, I mean, are you kidding me? Of course they could sell these devices for $500. They don't because they want to make money, because they're greedy, because they're companies and they want to make money. And Tim Cook likes his lifestyle. Why not? That's fine.
The whole reason businesses exist.
Exactly.
I mean,
That's
you
what
would say
capitalism
greedy.
is.
Yeah. If I had a business, I'd be definitely trying to make myself a millionaire. Well, I wouldn't say it's greedy. I
think there's a bit of greed. Look, I'm not saying Apple in particular, but I think they're all. I think every single company, every single smartphone manufacturer in the world has followed Apple's lead. So, you know, they're all doing it. They're all ramping up the prices way more than the cost to produce. I don't think we want to start at that base level because I think that's a poor argument in that respect. But what I will say is you can't compare the two. I don't think you can. I think it's fair to compare that. And I think in terms of that comparison, then my point stands that yes, the Braille devices are too expensive. Just on that example you've given there, Ryan.
Okay.
There, I said it.
Good. Well done. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. CC got in touch on the point about his Bose Flex he's been having some fun with.
G'day, folks. This is CC on the line from Montreal. I'm hoping somebody out there can help. I bought the new Bose Flex second generation, so the Flex 2, because it has EQ. It can actually boost the mids and treble, and that works for my tired old ears. But it makes this insane roaring noise when you plug it in or unplug it. And when a call comes through, it does about half of the roar. And it's unbelievable, the amount of racket that it makes. I tried to call Bose, but they want the rights to my grandchildren before they'll give up any information. So I'm hoping that somebody out there in the Double Tap universe might have some ideas about it's at startup and plugging in the power supply or unplugging the power supply and incoming phone calls make this blast of roaring noise. It's unbelievable. But the machine, the device itself sounds pretty darn good, and I'm very, very happy with it. It's almost identical to the original one. There's one extra button, and it's they're better indicated too on the second generation. So if anybody out there knows anything about how to stop this startup and electronics noise, please tell the Double Tap universe what to do. All the best.
Thanks, CC. No, I do know about this noise you're talking about. The startup noise is pretty loud, but I tend to find if you can lower the volume once you're connected to something, or even before you connect, although I don't think it works if you don't connect something. But whenever it's connected up, just adjust the volume on the speaker itself, but then adjust your volume level of your device back up. So essentially you want them to kind of marry. You'd think they would both marry up, but they don't. So sometimes you end up with it being a little bit louder. And it can be a little bit freaky because I have a JBL speaker that does exactly the same thing. I turn it on and it goes ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. And you're like, right, okay. And it freaks me out every single time it does it.
Dropped it down the stairs. Talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I must stop doing that. Yeah, these all tend to have, it's funny, right? We want them all to make noises and talk and beep and boop. But then when they do, we go, it's too loud, stop that.
It's too loud. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. So, Stephen, well done. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, there may be a way to change it or stop it. I don't think there is, CC. I don't think you can stop that. to my knowledge. But unless there's a way, perhaps there's an app attached to it that you can connect up and maybe turn it off that way. I don't know if you have those level of controls. I haven't looked into that, to be honest, but I maybe will. I'll have to go and check it out. Greg in Phoenix has been in touch, and this has been following on from Callum, who got in touch with his Be My Eyes anxiety, something we've talked about before. You're making a call and feeling a bit anxious about calling a volunteer.
Hello, Double Tappers. This is one of the many Gregs from the States. This is Greg from Arizona. Shout out to Greg in Pennsylvania. Go, Greg. Hey, I just wanted to respond to one of the callers from today. I think his name was Callum, but he was having the Be My Eyes anxiety. I understand where he comes from. I've used both platforms, Ira and Be My Eyes, and for a long time, I wasn't using Be My Eyes, but as much as I could. I've been using it for years, but not as often. I had the privilege of being able to be part of the test with the Meta Ray-Ban glasses and Be My Eyes. Glad that I can finally talk a little bit about it. Won't talk about how the test went, although it went well, so I don't think they'll be too upset with me. But I did have to, or didn't have to, but I did make calls at least 2 times a day for the last few weeks. And my experience with the volunteers was great. There are some that are better than others, of course, but that's true everywhere. But I never had a problem with somebody not knowing how to give me some kind of directions. And they're always friendly. Again, you just got to remember, they signed up for this. They want to do this. So it's not like running to somebody on the street and asking them for help. These are people that actually want to help. And they do a good job of it, and I just think it's awesome. I differ from Shaun a bit on how I use the Meta Ray-Bans, and I'm lucky I'm in the States, and so VPN has never been a problem for me. But I use the AI features very much as well. And I don't expect it to be as good as the Be My AI or some of the other blindness AIs. But, oh my gosh, just having that hands-free, being able to ask questions, hold something up, or be in a store and say, what am I looking at? And it tells me the actual product that I'm looking at, or being in front of, perhaps in a strip mall or something like that, and trying to find where a store is, and being able to ask the AI, what am I looking at, and get the name of the stores that are in front of me. Just little things like that. It's awesome today. It's not something that we have to wait on. It does the job today. Is it as great as some of the blindness-specific AIs? Absolutely not. But it's right there. It's already on your face. You don't have to pull out your phone. All you have to do is talk to the glasses, and you can get some quick descriptions of things. So even if it didn't have Be My Eyes, I'd be happy with. But now that's got Be My Eyes. Oh my gosh. It's just awesome. So talk to you soon, and thanks as always for a great show.
So Meta AI is fine, Shaun Preece. What are you moaning about?
Stop whinging about Meta AI, will you, Stephen
Whinging,
Scott?
whining and moaning.
No, I'm not whinging about it. I will say, thanks, Greg, by the way. I said recently, and I've been saying it quite often on social media, because there is just so many people on there now saying, I can't get Meta AI to work in wherever they are, and specifically in the UK at the moment. The look and describe feature does not work for most people, although for some people it does work absolutely correctly without a VPN. And I keep coming back to the point, you know what? It's the video calls that I use that I love the most about my Meta Ray-Bans. The ability to make a call through WhatsApp or Messenger, and now Be My Eyes, and of course Ira as well, and get real-time human assistance is absolutely amazing. It's a game changer. The fact that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to hold the phone out in front of you. Sounds like a nothing, but actually just being able to do it hands-free makes all the difference in the world. And the Meta AI, I don't miss whatsoever. I'm not trying to find a workaround. I'm not using a VPN. I just don't miss it. I will say, Greg, your demo that you gave us a while back now, when you first got the Meta Ray-Bans and you went to the supermarket and it was reading the bottle of wine off the shelf and telling you what store was what, was one of the reasons I wanted to get the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. But in my experience, when I was using it, it just wasn't reliable enough. It wouldn't read out the things. And maybe that's because, maybe that's one of the reasons why it's not quite so available here in other countries. Maybe it just doesn't work as well. I was having real problems with it actually just reading some of the products in my fridge or some labels. But I don't miss it.
This conversation is difficult because it's just a repeat of everything we've said before, which is,
now I'm repeating it. It's
yes,
an
you
issue.
are.
I'm sorry.
But it is, look, everybody's saying the same thing on social media, right? It's like, I can't get access to it. And the follow-up is you need a VPN. Some people are now saying, well, they're trying the VPN, even the VPN's not working. It's very specific. It seems there doesn't seem to be a right answer to this. Ultimately, it does not appear, although we heard it was here, but now it appears it's not here, that there is no Meta AI. I think there was a period where they did switch it on and immediately switched it off again.
I was using it while we were in London without any problems whatsoever. And
it was here for a while. It was
before
here.
That.
It was available, but it seems to have been switched off, and I feel that the rollout has been stopped. I think there's a big issue at the moment with, the UK in itself is not in the European Union, but there is a big European Union issue at the minute with it, and it may not come to the European Union for a long time.
Yeah.
Don't know how much we're sort of still tied into that or affected by that. I don't know, but it's an ongoing issue for sure. I also want to say about the Be My Eyes thing, it is so true. I think, I agree with you. The volunteers are signing up for this. I suppose the other side of it is that sometimes when you call someone, you do think, what if they're busy? Like, I often think about the task at hand. Is this a quick answer? And if it's a quick answer, I don't mind calling. But if it's a little bit more involved, I'm more hesitant to call because I think maybe that person's busy. Maybe they're running to catch a bus or,
then they
going
don't
to do something.
And someone else
that's
picks
true.
it up.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But this is what I'm saying. This is the anxiety part. This is what I'm talking about.
I know. I totally get. I made a call the other day, and again, once you get the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, you'll find you're making these calls at the drop of a hat, and that anxiety soon goes away. Because the volunteers absolutely loved it. I had a whole family talking to me the other day when I was just trying to walk to the shop. But you know what? It was done in a really nice way. They still really helped me out. But you could see they were just so excited about using it and getting the call in the first place. They were very nice and they helped me out. So the volunteers, as Greg rightfully says, they sign up for it and they do want these calls. So
you're an incredibly sociable person, though. That's the thing. I'm not.
Oh, are you? Well, yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's all down to your personality. Is that what you're saying?
With me, it's
Stephen
like,
Scott?
okay, is this covered in soup? No. Right, goodbye. So that's maybe I'm the issue here. Maybe
yeah. Yes,
I'm
you
the
are.
unexpected item in the bagging area. Okay, let's move on. Thank you for that, Greg. Leander has been in touch.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. Thanks for another wonderful show. It's Leander. Just responding to the most recent one. Thanks for putting the email on. Luckily, since I've updated to iOS 18.1, my eloquence voice has come back.
Yay.
Yeah, and I know what you mean about the layout of the voice settings, how it changed. That was a bit of a shock. But as for celebrities doing the voice, I think David Attenborough would be good, Tony Allen, one half of my favourite duo, Foster and Allen. Also, interesting your thoughts on symbols of blindness. I think if it works for people, that's great. I never go out on my own, but I always have a cane with me when I go out, when I'm with somebody, to symbolise that I'm blind. And I always have, it's a long cane, what I prefer to have with me, so that I can still find where the steps are and things. Just in case anyone forgets to mention a step or anything like that. So that's my choice on that. And yeah, you're right. I find in our local town centre, some people will barge past you sooner than look at you, whereas in the more deprived areas of town, they actually move out your way, and all the mums and dads teach the children about blindness and how to be respectful around us and move out the way. I've noticed that a lot in the more deprived areas of town, what get a bad name by basically people who don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, there are my thoughts for today, and thanks again for a wonderful show.
Thanks, Leander. You know, I will say two things to that. One is people are people, right? Anywhere you go. So there's always that side of it. You know, you get good people, bad people in every part of town, every area of town. But I will say something on that point. I came from what would definitely be described as a deprived area. You know, we still had, war buildings destroyed by war from World War II, that were still standing. Some of them were still being used. It was a pretty deprived place, and crime was rife, and there was gangs, and it was a pretty wild place to grow up. And, you grow up and you move on, and you maybe try and get yourself, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and all that rubbish, and you get yourself a nice house and all the rest. And it's funny, I speak less to my neighbours here than I did when I was where I grew up. I knew everybody. I knew all the people around.
Yeah.
Everyone, it was a community in those areas. People were close together. And I feel that when you are detached from property, you detach from other people's lives as well. It's kind of interesting how that sense of community is there, but not the same. And I think that's part of what you're talking about there. That's been my experience. I find when I go back to where I originally came from in the east end of Glasgow, I feel great. I feel like everyone's just, getting on with it. And people are, I don't know, it's very hard to generalize this because it depends on where you are. I know, for example, a great example in the UK is London, right? If you go to London, no one will ever speak to you anywhere. In fact, they'll actively avoid you because that's what they do. But, you head north from there and suddenly anywhere north of England, north of London, suddenly everyone's talking to you and people are surprised by that, and it's friendly, and everyone, you know your neighbours and all that. So
what, you're saying Londoners aren't friendly, Stephen Scott?
I'm absolutely saying that.
It's all stereotypes now. Look, I've come from the south. I lived up the north. I mean, it's all, everywhere's the same. People are generally great. There you go.
Good and bad everywhere. There's good and bad in
everyone. Thank you.
Whoever meets Stevie Wonder, that's the song we're singing, right? Okay, so thank you for that, Leander. Great point, great question, or great thoughts on that, I should say. Let's move on to another one. This is from Gregory on symbols, actually.
Hey, Stephen. Hey, Shaun. This is Gregory again from Illinois. I was just listening to the podcast about checkered eye symbol. Not sure if I completely understand what it is or what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But it made me think of all the struggles that I was going through when I was diagnosed with RP many years ago, and all the years since struggling with it. I remember doing all those jobs that I shouldn't have been doing, that, was not really safe for me to be doing, like running into things, smashing into glass doors, smashing my shins into low objects and getting them all bruised and bloody.
Mm-hmm.
It was denial. It was what I think some people call faking it to make it.
Yeah.
I got through all those years. But would people have understood if I was wearing a symbol or having something on me that had a checkered eye symbol? And I guess it was supposed to mean that, hey, this person has low vision. Would they really know what low vision is? I mean, they would have to have walked in my shoes to really know, all the struggles that many of us go through with RP. So the checkered eye symbol sounds kind of interesting, but would people understand really what it is? So thanks, guys. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome to use this recording if you like. Take care.
Thanks, Gregory. Appreciate that.
Not an experience that you've had that you're on your own with. I think everyone, especially with RP, have gone through that faking it until you make it scenario. Absolutely. And I was asking about the symbol, the checkered or checked eye symbol. Look, I totally get the idea of it. You know, I used a symbol cane for a while, just so it reinforced when I told people I needed help, they actually understood rather than just looking at me blankly because I could make eye contact. So I totally get the need for some sort of symbol to reinforce, hey, this is an actual disability. But again, do people even know what it is? You know, people still don't sometimes see the long mobility cane and understand what it is. That still blows my mind.
Yeah, I think, let's be honest, sometimes you can see it as it's a way to begin a conversation with someone. I'm just not keen on the uniform idea. I think that's the problem I've got. You know, it's like, okay, you're low vision, and you don't use a cane, so the solution is to wear this T-shirt. And, you know, we'll all just wear this T-shirt. I don't know if that's... Some people might like that. I don't know. I'm not keen on that, to be honest. I just think...
But if it helps, right? If it helps, again, it was like, you know, using the white stick actually changed my life for the better. So
here's the problem. The problem was that we didn't use it when we needed to use it at the beginning. That was the problem. We waited. We all waited, and we all do it. We wait and we wait and we wait because we don't want to use it.
Yeah.
The truth is, it's not the symbol that's the problem. It's the need for using a mobility aid. Because when you get to the point where you almost need the symbol, that's really the point you need the mobility aid, right? Because you're struggling. So the cane would be useful, or the dog would be useful in that environment, because that's when you're helping yourself. Because as soon as someone sees the cane, most people have a vague idea what's going on. You go into a store, they'll say, do you need, if you ask for assistance, they'll sometimes get it. Not always. My favorite is when I went to a hotel once and they said, where did you park your car and what's your registration number? And I said, it's tied up outside and it's got 4 legs with the registration number GUIDEDOG.
Yeah, exactly my point. Sometimes,
look, again, it's like generalizing on stereotypes of people and from places. You just can't do it. It's everything is very individual. Some people totally get it right up front. Usually, those people have had some experience in the past of blindness through their own family. I just think we have to be considerate of everything. We have to be considerate of other people as well. We want people to be considerate of us as a community. That's what I hear from a lot of people. And then I think, well, how considerate are you being about their life? We don't know each other's lives. We don't know what we're all going through. So, the best thing is just to be considerate and begin there.
Yeah. And you know what? In my case, most of the time, I'm going back to the points made there, I wasn't ready to admit it anyway to other people or myself. So I wouldn't have used a symbol in the first place.
Look, that's it for today. Thank you, as always, for getting in touch. Keep your feedback coming as you will. And we love hearing from you and hearing your thoughts. Keep those coming. And we'll be back tomorrow with another Double Tap. Shaun Preece, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
It was Elvis-like, wasn't it? It was almost Elvis.
Oh, Elvis has left the building. Bye-bye.
Yeah, he certainly has. Goodbye.